How did everybody like the bacon show? It's total madness. Complete madness. If you can identify with the bacon show, then that's a good thing. So, I want to make this video very quick and very to the point because I want to add a second one to it that's just a little bit longer. But I want to set the stage and tell you, thank Jennifer. Jennifer sent me an email, I think it was last night. Can you make me a video on tips of how you deal with people who nickel and dime you? You know? And my reply back to her was like, so you want like competitive advantage? Like, what's your competitive advantage? And I think she replied back and she was just super grateful. I kind of went on a rant a little bit with my reply to her, but I think it's a valid point. And this is what I'd like to say to you all while you're watching this. Like, what's your competitive advantage? Now, if you can't answer that in under 10 seconds, you don't have one. And if you're concerned about price, like Jennifer is, I'm going to ask you to try to think a little bit differently. And I want to share with you a quick story. I'm going to make this video under 5 minutes, but I want to share with you a quick story about my experience with Rust-Oleum because it will come full circle if I can do it within 5 minutes. My wife and I bought a product at Lowe's called Restore. We have an old deck. We've been in our house for 12 years. We took this Restore paint and we painted our entire deck at the recommendation of one of our friends. They're like, this is great. So my wife and I, Jennifer the General and I, we banged it out during the summertime. It was a pain. It's really thick. It's sandy. Anyway, a year goes by. You know, we're kind of happy with it. We don't really think all that much of it. But a year goes by and my wife reconnects with this woman and she says, hey, did you ever buy that Restore paint? And my wife was like, yeah, I did. So she's like, hey, listen, if that stuff chips, you can call Rust-Oleum and they'll refund you your entire purchase. We were like, mine's chipping. So I'm gonna call them. So I did. I picked up the phone, I called Rust-Oleum, I got in touch with Fred, and I said, Fred, I have a friend of mine who told me that if my paint Restore product cracks or splinters, you'll give me a full refund. And I was worried because typically when you call and ask that, you know what that's like. They're like, all right, I need you to go to this website, I need you to download this form, I need you to fingerprint and take a picture of yourself naked and send me all of it, and then I'll determine, you know, in 6 months from now whether or not I'll refund you $5. You know what I mean? It's just they make it so much harder than it needs to be. But this wasn't my experience with Fred. Fred said to me, I'm going to email you this form. He sent it to me. He said, I want you to fill it out, and I'll get back to you in 3 days. And I said, yeah, sure. Sure enough, 3 days later, get an email. Fred, Rennick, we've got your claim. We've approved it. Would you like that in a credit or would you like that in a check form? Your refund in a check. I was like, Fred, you're the man. I'll take that check. So he sent it to me. That was it. So I was so enamored and so caught off guard about how simple this customer service dynamic was at Rust-Oleum. I literally obsessed about it for probably 3 days until I got angry. Have you ever had that? Where you've just been obsessed, you're like, I have to do something about this. So I was sitting at my desk, and I'm a sales guy, so I know how to find email addresses, and I did. And I found the CEO's email address at Rust-Oleum. A guy by the name of Ed Voorhees. I'll tell you why I know that in a minute. So this guy Fred, it's not his real name, I was so impressed with Fred and how easy this entire process was and how Rust-Oleum didn't put me through the ringer on how, it's gonna be a little bit more than 5 minutes, I'll be brief, but how quickly I got serviced. I was overwhelmed by it because nobody else does that. Think about it, nobody else does it. How many times have you struggled just to get, you know, a coupon approved? So I sent an email to Mr. Voorhees, and I said, Mr. Voorhees, my name is Rennick Morris. You have no idea who I am, and I'll be real brief. I'm just a small guy who bought $200 worth of your paint at Lowe's, and it cracked. I want you to know that when I reached out to Rust-Oleum and I talked to Fred, Fred was absolutely incredible. He met my needs. He approved my claim, and you guys are sending me a check within the next 5 days. I just want you to know that you should know that I really appreciate Fred. And since you're the CEO of the company, I want to acknowledge Fred, and I tagged him in the email. So I didn't think anything of it. So Mr. Voorhees replies back to me like 6 hours later. Mr. Morris, I'm sorry you had an unpleasant experience with our Restore paint. I'm pleased to hear that Fred had taken care of you, and I'm pleased to hear that that you're getting your refund, and please let us know how we can help you again in the future. This is the CEO of Rust-Oleum. This is $1 billion company based in Chicago. So I had to call back Fred. I was worried because Fred was young. He's like 24 years old. So I called Fred. I was like, Fred, it's Rennick. He's like, Mr. Morris, thank you. He was so awkward. He's like, thank you. I've really got a lot of buzz going on here. My managers are coming downstairs and patting me on the back, and wow, thanks. And I took the time to make sure that I took care of Fred, even though Fred didn't ask me to take care of him. Okay? Now, that's customer service. And when I answer the question, what's my competitive niche? My answer is customer service. I beat the hell out of people with making sure that they know that they're important. I think you guys have got a little sense of that already and can appreciate that, right? And I don't do it because I want to. And you guys see that, which is wonderful, okay? I'm coming back full circle now, just so that you see the full picture, okay? I'm sitting at my desk yesterday. I'm reading comments from you guys, because I reply incredibly fast to that kind of stuff, because it's important to me. And one of the women, I can't remember who they are, when I did my video on part 2, she's like, I like your letter better than the Victory Store one. And bang, it hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, you know what I gotta do? I gotta reach out to Ed at Rust-Oleum. I'm using Krylon paint, right? I'm using Krylon paint. I'm using Rust-Oleum, right? This is an opportunity to make an introduction. So you know what I did? I sent Ed an email. Ed, this is Rennick Morris. And I forwarded him the email that he sent to me before. I said, hey, Mr. Voorhees, I just want you to know that I've been thinking about you. Well, no, I didn't say that. What did I say? I said something to the effect like, Mr. Voorhees, I wanted to reach out to let you know that recently my wife and I started a yard sign celebration business. It's been absolutely incredible. I've also started a YouTube channel, and I'm making how-to videos on how to make plastic letter how-to videos. And what I've started doing is I've started using different spray paint. I've been using yours, I've been using Krylon, and other different companies. And I said, I have a lot of women that are following me. Like 82% of you guys are women. I love it. By the way, who's the strongest superhero? Captain Marvel. Who's Captain Marvel? She's a female. Something to be said for that, okay? So I sent him an email. I said, hey, look, listen, I think that I'm reaching out to you to see whether or not you could introduce me to somebody at your firm that could help me either create a new paint spray that matches to our Victory Store letters, or maybe you could send me a care package full of yellows and reds and blacks, and I'll make videos highlighting you, and it'll be great. I got an email back from Ed yesterday. Mr. Morris, not Rennick, Mr. Morris. I'm so glad and happy to hear that you're doing well during this pandemic. I want you to know that I'm someone from our marketing team. We'll reach out to you. Thank you for your continued support. Stay healthy. Ed. I got it under 10 minutes, okay? Do you think that a competitive advantage is important for Rust-Oleum? I do. They're $1 billion company. Do I think customer service is important in this day and age? I do. And you need to have one. You need to have a competitive advantage. So this next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you do that, okay? So there's my 10-minute story. I hope you like it. See ya.